What is going on, all you Pokemon collectomaniacs out there? This is Ryan, the PikaPikaPaPa, and here we are with another video highlighting high demand, low supply cards on TCG Player. Now, every 3 weeks, TCG Player sends us this information, and I love it whenever a company with, the size of TCG Player and the velocity of TCG Player, right? So you think about it, in terms of buying and selling Pokemon cards, obviously eBay is the #1 marketplace, but TCG Player is #2. So whenever they pull back the curtains and they give us this kind of information, I am all about that life, and I love bringing it to you. Now, we have all kinds of cool stuff in this video that we haven't seen or done in the past, so I'm going to start off with showing you some of the cards that have fallen off the list ever since the last one came out 3 weeks ago. We're going to double click into a couple of the cards, some of the newer cards, and some of the older cards that are actually on this list. It is fascinating to see some of the older cards that are actually on this low supply, high demand list this month. I also found this really cool card that's on the list, which just went through a huge buyout, and somebody made about $6,000 in pre-tax profit over the holiday season by buying and flipping this card. And so all of that stuff is chalked into this video, and I'm so incredibly excited. So with that being said, hey, if you get through this video and it gets you excited, hit that subscribe button. We're building an amazing community. We'd love you to be a part of it. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. Questions or comments, drop them down below. Those 3 small things go a long way in helping my small channel out. Lets me know you appreciate the work that I put into it. So with all that nonsense out of the way, let's get into this stuff because this really is a cool video. So happy trails, right? We're saying goodbye to 3 cards, actually more than 3, but these are the 3 that I wanted to highlight. Because they've been pretty steady Eddie on this list. So Pikachu with gray felt hat is no longer in that low supply, high demand category. Now that doesn't mean that it is not an in-demand card. It doesn't mean it's not a great card, right? It just simply means that the supply and demand equation has balanced out on TCG Player. Now I still think that it's going to be interesting to see how this card performs in the short run because, we're kind of past, it got a lot of hype when it came out, right? I think it was the most hyped card in at least as long as I can remember. All kinds of news about it, good and bad. So it's going to be interesting to see how it performs. Also, if you watch our grading report video, that over 14,000 of these have already been graded, and that is a huge number for a single card. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that performs here as of late. Another one that has been on almost every single one of these lists ever since we started doing it way back in August is Forest Seal Stone, and that shouldn't surprise anybody, right? Like we know, this card was super hot in the TCG game space, and then it came out in a league battle deck, so you didn't have to pull it and sell it that way. So we expected the prices to come down, and it has, and obviously that supply and demand quotient has balanced out now. And then the Bulbasaur, this is the Best Buy stamped version right here. We have seen a lot of the stamped promos on this list over the last couple months. It's been fascinating. There's been some Charmanders, there's been some Charizards, there's been this Bulbasaur, there's been an Umbreon on here, right? The stamped promos have really been in high demand on TCG Player. So for me, this was a great lesson that whenever I have the opportunity to get my hands on one, it's not that I didn't try before, but I didn't try super hard, right? So now I'm going to pay a little more attention. If it means driving a little out of my way to end up at a Best Buy or a EB Games or a GameStop or something like that, I certainly will make that happen because these cards have just really done well from a pricing perspective, and they certainly have been in high demand. So with that being said, these ones are gone. Let's talk about what's actually on the list. And I told you, this list is different than lists we've seen in the past. We've never seen a list with so much quote-unquote newness here, right? So I have the different columns. I tell you the name of the set, then obviously the card, then I have the LW price. That's simply the last week's price, but in actuality, it's the last time the video came out. So this is a price from 3 weeks ago. And then the current price, and then I have the previous ranking there as well, right? We rank them. These are the 20 cards, so they're going to be ranked from 1 to 20. And then I have the current rank right here. So it's always interesting for me to see how cards that are repeat themselves on this list, how they perform from a pricing perspective. So I add that obviously in the far right, but you see the blue NA. These are cards that are new to the list this month. And this is we started doing this at the end of August. So we've done this 8 total times. We've never seen so many new cards on the list. Usually it is just inundated with either the latest set or ultra modern cards. And that's another call out, right? There's 12 different sets that are on this list, right? Out of the 20 cards that are on here right now, 12 different sets are represented here, which is really fascinating. I think we go all the way back to Heart Gold, Soul Silver, which we're going to dig into that card here in just a minute. So you see some of the things that you expect to see, like the entire Zard Evolution lineup from 151 is on here. Obviously that Squirtle is a big card that's really near and dear to my heart. It's interesting to see, a lot of Pokemon 151 cards are starting to come back into reality. We're past the Christmas season. I think a lot of people had them on their wish list, and they've now been, past the Christmas holiday bump on. I think a lot of 151 was opened over the holidays as well. So I don't think we'll see the full impact of that anytime soon, but watching how it progresses over the next couple months is going to be really interesting. But still, it seems like the big hitters in 151 continue to do really well. So Again, the other thing that I really call out whenever I share this list is, for me, this is more of a selling tool. And on the next slide, I'm going to show you kind of what gives me that feeling in regards to this data. So I don't use this as, hey, I'm going to try and buy these cards because I think that they're going to go up in price. For me, this helps me identify, hey, if I don't have these cards top of mind and I have them in my collection, this just tells me that there's a bunch of people on TCG Player who are waiting with open arms to buy these cards because TCG Player is telling us they're in high demand and low supply. So like I said, a lot of times I just kind of glaze over this list, but I really want to double click into a couple of the things here because there's some really interesting stuff, and I cannot wait to show you that buyout example because it's just really, really cool and really impactful. So first, we're going to start off with the ultra modern cards. I told you I love that Charizard Evolution lineup from 151. I know a lot of us do. I love the fact that all of the Zard cards, Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard, all of them are on the high demand, low supply list, and they've gone through the same pattern, right? What's interesting to me, you know I like patterns, you know I like trend analysis, but if you look at how the pricing has moved for all three of the cards, they follow a very similar pattern. So they all kind of had that big spike in the months leading up to Christmas, and now they've actually started to come back down quite a bit, but then they've recovered a little bit, especially that Charmeleon and that Charmander right there. You know, the Charizard EX is obviously the big chase card from 151, so it'll be interesting to see if it can hold its water and if it can, for how long. And then what I was talking about, the reason I use this as a selling tool is, I mean, look at those cards at the top. Look at the Electrode V right there. Like, that's a card that I probably have multiples of just sitting around somewhere, even though it's a Black Star promo, right? I know I have some of those laying around, and look, it went from, you know, sub $1, and now it's popped all the way up to almost $4 a card. So hey, listen, I know that it's not going to make you rich. Like, I know that it's not something that you should think here and say, hey, oh my God, I need to go out and buy 100 of these. Do not do that, right? But this is just to bring it top of mind and say, hey, if you got a couple of these, then hey, it's a good time to sell them because the market has it at $4 right now, according to TCG Player. And then you get Sandy Shocks right over there. Like, such a cool card, right? From Paradox Rift. And again, did the Pokemon pop and flop, started off super high, dropped way, way down, and it stayed that way for a while. And now it has popped back up. Again, I'm always transparent with you. I don't play the game. I'm a collector. I'm an investor. So something tells me that this is probably taken off in a deck in the game itself, and that's why people are piling in. So there's a couple different varieties of this card that you can get, but this obviously is the coolest one, so I wanted to include it on the list. Now, I told you we were going to look at some of the older cards, and that's what we're going to do right here. So this Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia from Cosmic Eclipse right here. This is a card that I will admit, now I told you I use this as a selling tool, not as a buying tool, but this is one, you know, the tag team card. Obviously, Cosmic Eclipse is a crazy hot set. We've seen how the cards, you know, with these three like legendary Pokemons on there, right? Like, they tend to perform pretty well, and this is still a sub $10 card. This is in the $8 price range, so it's telling me a lot of people are starting to get some interest in this, so this might be the exception to the PikaPikaPaPa rule. I might actually pull the trigger and buy a couple of these in near mint copy if I can find them, because again, it's not a huge capital investment on my part, and we see so many of these tag team cards that are up over the $20 range. Like, a lot of them with far less popular Pokemon are in the $20, $30, $40 range. Cosmic Eclipse is an epic set, so this might be one that I pull the trigger on. Then, you know, you have the Psych Energy down there, and that's from Heart Gold, Soul Silver. So that card has actually been on a tear all year long, but you'll see that it has had an accelerated rate of growth here over the last couple months. So a lot of people are out there picking that card up. And then the Plasma Storm booster packs, right? That was on the list. And the interesting thing about this is the price has been coming down on that for the entire year. Now remember, prices will get to a certain point, especially for old products like this, where the price gets so low that people say, listen, it's worth buying, right? Like, there's resistance points and there's support levels. So this Plasma Storm might be getting down to that support level where the market just says, hey, listen, this price is too low. We're going to buy it at that price. And that's why we're seeing that, hey, there's not a lot of supply in the market, but there is certainly for demand in it at the $120 range. Now, listen, I love all of those sets. I think that's a great era in Pokemon, and I think they're undervalued. But I'm going to tell you right now, PikaPikaPaPa is not spending $120 on a single booster pack. I guarantee you that much. Now, I also told you that we were going to look at a buyout, and this is a cool example, and I just kind of stumbled across this, right? So we look at the Charizard VMAX, right? Now, this is from that Charizard Ultra Premium Collection box, and I'm going to tell you this, spoiler alert, like, I think that Charizard Ultra Premium Collection box is getting to the point finally where it's piquing my interest, and I might pick a couple more up. It's starting to trend up a little bit. So when I saw this, my first thought was, hey, listen, well, you know, the Ultra Premium Collection box is starting to go up in price, so maybe this is just doing the same thing. But that's not it at all, right? When you see a crazy spike and a crazy drop like this, like, that's not organic growth. So I started to do some digging into this, and this price really started to spike in late October, and it continued up through December, and now it's been dropping like a rock. So for me, this is a great example of a buyout. Now, what would somebody do with this type of card? Why would they buy all of these Charizard VMAXs? We know there's a ton of them out there, and there's still a ton of them that are sealed. So I found this listing on Amazon, and it was really fascinating to look at this. So again, this is what they're doing with it, right? They're buying a ton of these Charizard VMAXs, and then I have all these different things circled right there. So if you see the circle there on the left, like 900 plus of these have been bought in the last month. Like that is not all time, that is just in the last month, right? And that is for $26.98, right? That is a huge, huge price premium on what you can buy them for on TCG Player or eBay, or probably what this individual did was found a great deal and bought them in bulk, right? And then I also highlighted, look, there is only 3 left in stock. So however many this individual, this comes from one seller, right? However many this individual had, there's only 3 of them left. So they've pretty much sold through their whole inventory. So I just made some assumptions. Let's say they bought 950 of them, and let's say they paid $15 each, which I think is much, much higher than they actually would have paid to get these. So the total cost just to acquire these was $14,250. Now again, there's only 3 left in stock, so they've sold through their whole inventory. It says 900 plus bought in the last month, so we'll just say 950 of them have been sold at that price of $26.98. So that's just over $25,000 in sales, $25,631. Now, seller fees are a big, big thing that people don't think about, and I will tell you as somebody who sells on eBay, it usually nets out to right around 20%, or at least in the high teens, but I always round up because I want to do worst case scenario. So there's probably 20% seller fees. Now on Amazon, you have to pay a $39.99 monthly fee just to be a member. But when you're in this type of quantity, you know, that's pennies on the dollar, so I don't really count that. But seller fees are probably in the $20 range when it comes to the fees you pay to Amazon and for shipping and all of that. So post fees, you take that $25,631, take 20% off of that, you're left with $20,504 in fee or in total revenue that you generated. You take away the $14,250 in cost to buy the cards, and you're left with a pre-tax profit of $6,254 over the course of a month, which is absolutely crazy. And you might be thinking to yourself, oh my God, who would go on Amazon and who would do this? But I'm going to tell you right now, my cousin, who is more like a brother to me, he is my best friend in the entire face of the world. He came to me the other day and he was like, hey, I bought my kids some Pokemon stuff on Amazon. And he showed me the listing and I was like, dude, why would you do that? Like, you have PikaPikaPaPa as a best friend. You're buying your kids Pokemon stuff. Like, why would I could have given you 17,000 different products which have better value in it and would have just been more enjoyable for the kids to open, but he bought one of those mystery packs and he's like, whatever, the kids don't care. They just want shiny cards. So I say that because I know all of us who are watching this channel, we're more involved in the Pokemon hobby than most people, but there's a lot of grandmas and grandpas and moms and dads out there who aren't as buttoned up as we are. And where do they go? They go to Amazon, the world's largest marketplace, right? And they search for Pokemon cards and they find things like this and they see it's a cool card with Charizard on it. And the kid had Charizard card on his Christmas list. And as a parent or grandparent, you think, oh, it's 26 bucks. I'm just going to go ahead and buy it for him. So, hey, listen, they buy the card. The kid is happy. At the end of the day, I don't care. That's all that matters to me. But it is an interesting proposition here to see that somebody definitely made this play. Somebody made a ton of money, and if you search Amazon, it's really fascinating to see the total number bought, and it'll show you bought in the past month, and you can actually see how many have been bought in a lifetime. So it is fascinating to see this. Great example of a Pokemon buyout where somebody found a card with the big name Charizard on it, right? And some really awesome art, and they bought it and they probably made a ton of money over the holidays. Again, only 3 left in stock, so my assumption is they just bought enough to get through December, and now they're sitting back and counting their cash, right? So anyways, I think this was a really cool take on this video. I wanted to go a little more in depth. I know that sometimes this list is hard to digest, so I wanted to look at some individual cards. I saw that buyout and I thought that'd be really cool for us to talk about. So if you made it to the end of the video and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, what are you doing? Hit the subscribe button. We do all kinds of fun stuff like this all the time on the channel. If you like what you saw, give us a thumbs up. Questions or comments, drop them down below. And as always, I appreciate you more than you know. Y'all have an epic one. Thanks, everybody. Bye.